Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Jeff Porter.
Yo, I'm Kyle West. I don't know why I said yo, but
I don't know.
sounded appropriate until I said
That didn't work.
it.
Today, we are talking about The Shallows from 2016 on Cinema Shack, starring Blake Lively. Um, this is
And
your
Steven
pick,
Seagal.
and Steven Seagal. This is your pick, so I'm going to kind of let you start out, kind of tell everybody what it is and kind of your first experience with it, and we'll
Right
go from
on.
there.
Right on. The movie came out in 2016, like you said, but I just watched it earlier in this year for the very first time. So this is like a newer discovery for me, and I was quite happy to find it. You might be wondering how I came across this movie, Jeff. I have an answer for you for that one. For a short while, I was subscribed to this service where every month they would send you like 4 or 5 horror movie Blu-rays in the mail. You didn't know what you were going to get. And so it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
What was that
Uh,
called? Because I was looking at that.
it's called Horror Pack,
Okay, yeah.
was the name of it. The problem I ran into is you can see kind of behind me. Uh, for the audio listeners, I had my big old movie shelf back there.
Yeah.
I was running into a lot of duplicates with it, which
Mm,
is not the fault of the service. It's just the fact that I already have a really big
collection.
Blu-ray horror movie collection. But anyway, this was one of the movies that was in there, and so it's a lot of fun because, like, hey, it reminded me of my video store days. What movie is this? I don't know. Let's put it in and give it a watch. I was absolutely blown away by The Shallows. I thought that this is awesome. There's not a lot of really good shark related horror movies. There's, I mean, a little franchise called Jaws.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've heard of that one.
Kind of took
Uh,
over. Kind of
yeah,
got a monopoly on it.
Jaws kind of did it so good right from the start that everyone else is like, well, don't really need to do
Just
that.
want sharks with freaking laser beams on their freaking heads.
Right on. So other good shark movies, we got what? Deep Blue Sea with
Deep Blue
Sam
Sea.
Jackson. I like that one. Open Water. Some people love
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people love it. Some people hate it. I am in camp. I like Open Water because it was unique and different. I thought that was
It
a lot
was
of cool.
different.
That was a lot of fun. Uh, The Shallows is right up in there on the top of my list of just like good fucking shark related horror movies.
Yes.
That's kind of how I first came into it.
So I was going into this cold. I had kind of known about it. I had
Mhm.
but kind of coming off of that, there's no good shark movies. Every time you watch a shark
Right.
movie, it's really cheesy or you get over the top acting and it's just
I
garbage.
Yeah,
So
I think too much of like, oh, it's a shark movie. This is going to be like Sci-Fi Channel, Sharknado.
exactly.
It looks like shit. The actors are all shit. Like you don't really get like an honest effort shark movie too often.
Exactly. So that's kind of what kept me away from so many of them.
Hmm.
And the shallows, especially, I was like, because I vaguely remember the commercials and seeing stuff about it, but I was
Hmm.
just completely put off and I was like, I'm not gonna watch that. Thankfully, because you and I talk about film so much, you suggested this for Cinema Shack, and okay, I'll give it a watch. I went in not expecting much, but this is a genuinely good film,
It is
regardless of
like,
genre, regardless of anything. It's just good. Everything
yeah.
about it. You were messaging me before we started talking. I missed it, but we were talking about like how it's so like there's big wide open angle shots. It's
Oh
complete
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I
in
wanted
every
to.
horror film. Like, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to talk a bit about the cinematography of this movie because it breaks a lot of convention that you see of typical horror movies. Like when you think of a horror movie, you're going to think of like, oh, haunted house, closed, small setting. It's going to be dim. You're not going to be able to see a lot of what's going on. It's Michael Myers in the shadows.
Freddy
It's
Krueger coming through your bed in your dreams.
right. It's those
Jason,
kind.
you're on the campground.
this movie, The Shallows, is we're going to take place in, I mean, there's day and night, but it's like we're going to take place in like the daytime in big, wide open area. Like there are some aerial shots in the movie where you see Blake Lively, she's our main character, Nancy. You see her on her surfboard with a couple other surfer guys that are kind of come and go throughout the picture.
Mostly go.
And we're like pulled, yeah, mostly they fucking go all right. They are pulled way up with the camera and they look like tiny little dots kind of out there in the frame. And you get these big, beautiful shots of the ocean. Did you catch where this was filmed?
Where I know it took place in Mexico. I don't know if it was filmed there.
Okay, so that should give you a general idea if you're familiar of kind of what like.
If I had to assume, I would say they filmed this in the Gulf somewhere. Yeah, probably like Florida or something. It would be my guess, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that either. But I had told you that there are shots in this movie that look like B-roll from like a Discovery Channel documentary at times, which that for a horror movie is unheard of. Like you don't.
It takes that whatever the opposite of claustrophobia is. It revert instead of Alien, where you're enclosed and you're scared of what's around the corner. Whatever a big wide open area is, it's the opposite. They just completely flipped everything upside down.
But it works so well in favor of the movie because if you're wondering, well, why would they do that? Because it really sets up the fact that Blake Lively's character is trapped, essentially alone on this little teeny tiny rock, and she has nowhere to go. Like she is stuck. There is this shark, and there's nothing she can do about it. And so I think that that's where part of the terror of the situation comes from.
Yeah, and I was just kind of looking through this trivia real fast, and it looks like it was supposed to be shot in the Gulf of Texas, but filmmakers were denied a permit for safety reasons. So it was supposed to be in the Gulf in Texas where they were filming, but I don't know where they actually left then from that. Because wherever they were, that was some breathtaking stuff.
I don't know. We talked a little bit about it. Did you watch it online?
Yeah.
So I got the Blu-ray version of it, and watching it on your TV set, like it's just a really beautiful film to look at. Some of the underwater shots, the shots with the
jellyfish.
I want to call him an octopus. I was going to say octopus, an octopus. Jellyfish. The shots with the jellyfish look like something out of Avatar.
Yeah.
It's definitely if it wasn't a horror movie, you could like demo reel this thing on Walmart or like, look how good these 4K TV sets look.
Right.
The colors and everything in this movie really, really pop. I really like it for that.
Yeah, that is true.
And also, I love the way you see the shark. They don't hide the shark.
Yeah.
The shark is terrifying in this.
In the daylight.
Yes. Well lit. Here it is. It's fucking gonna eat you alive. You should be terrified of it. I love that about this movie.
Yeah, when I say like I was really taken back and like this is a good film, I know there's kind of an unspoken difference between like a good horror film and a good dramatic film. You know, you kind of put the dramatic film higher. This is a good film regardless if it was horror or not. I thought it was really well paced. Blake Lively was fantastic in it. And I do want to say
she is.
Yeah, I do want to say going into it, I was expecting, like we said earlier, like a sci-fi cheesy, there's a shark. But what we got was a fucking strong female protagonist.
Yeah.
that if she was in space, that could be Ripley.
Ooh, good comparison. I
I
like
did
that.
I didn't expect to go into the shallows and get a strong female character who's going to be the hero, who was going to suffer like this. I thought it was going to be a lot cheesier and a lot less than what it was. But
Because
this,
there's that moment where she's on that rock and she's come to the realization that no one is going to come help me. There's no one coming to save me. No one knows I'm here. I have to do this myself. And you kind of hear her talk herself, like pump herself up into it.
Mhm.
Like, here's my game plan that I'm gonna come up with, and I have to go for it. Even if I don't succeed, I have to try this. Otherwise, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die on this rock.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, there's just when she kind of what do you call them? Not stitches, but
Ooh,
the clamps. What do you call them when you have to?
earrings.
Right. Yeah, she uses her earrings,
Yeah,
but sutures. She uses them as like a suture,
yeah.
and that part was intense. And the effects looked really good. It looked like I thought she was going to lose her leg. I thought that was going to be the end of the movie. I thought, okay, she'll live, but then it'll show her out there on the beach with like one leg or something.
Yeah.
And no, you get a spoiler alert. You get a nice happy ending. I mean, there's people who die, but
For her,
yeah,
for
yeah,
Blake
yeah. For
Lively,
her,
it's a happy ending.
and I kind of felt like it was kind of split into. I mean, the finale is shorter, obviously, but I kind of felt like it was split into two parts. The first part was where she's confined to that rock, and she's kind of like, well, somebody will come, like you were saying. Oh, somebody's good. And then there's that second part of the movie where she's Ripley, an alien, and she's like, fuck this motherfucker, and she's shooting it with flare guns, and she's like, I'm
Yeah.
fucking taking you down. And I just loved that switch. And I thought the ending where she ends up killing the shark was creative and strange, but I liked it.
It worked
Yeah.
because you were wondering the whole time how is she gonna get away
Right.
from this shark? How is she gonna get to shore? We kind of glossed quick over the setup. Let's do a quick setup of the movie because it's a really simple premise.
Yes.
She's on vacation in Mexico because she has these photographs of her mother. Her mother had passed away shortly before,
Yeah,
I
she had
believe.
cancer.
She had cancer and passed away. So she's going to visit this secluded beach area where, hey, this is a beach that her mother had visited. She wanted to go there too. That your setup is that this is really far away from anyone else. This is like a really secluded private area.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no help coming for her. There happened to be a couple other people at this beach that were out surfing. She kind of meets them. They interact a little bit when they're out catching waves. They leave, and then it's just her. What is it? She swims to a whale carcass.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So
that's kind of the hokiest part of the movie.
That is something I wanted to bring up because, like I was mentioning earlier, where she's like suturing herself up, and there's a lot of blood, and she's getting stung by jellyfish. All the shit that she endures. To me, the grossest part that I was like
on top of the.
Not even just that, but like when she's on top of it, she's like
You're talking about the shot
and grabbing into it to hold on. And it just grossed me out. I don't know why. Like the rest of the movie, I was like, oh, that's crazy. But when she has her hand like in the hole of the whale, like
it's
holding
because
onto its skin,
she's trying to hold on for her own safety.
No, yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing to hold on. There's nothing to hold on to. We're implied that the shark has already been eating it, and it's been decaying, and there's been seagulls picking at it, so it's probably been out here for a while. And so yeah, she just like digs into it, and you see her.
Yeah,
it is gross.
That was the grossest part to me. I don't know why.
I kind of thought that if I'm going to criticize the movie,
How dare you?
why would you're out surfing, you know you're alone in this area.
Why do you go out further?
Why do you go out further towards that? Especially when shouldn't you be able to smell it? Shouldn't you be able to see?
I would suspect.
But I mean, it's a movie. They had to give. This is her. That's the movie's way of introducing why there would be a shark of this size, this close to.
Yeah.
There had to be a reason.
Exactly. And that's the whole reason, was just so that the shark had a reason for being there. But I
had also wondered a couple times throughout the movie. I was curious of your opinion on this too. How much would the shark actually give a shit about her after it had already it ate the other two people,
right?
And it's got this floating whale of food right there. I don't know that much about sharks, but I'm like, I wonder how much it would actually give a shit.
So speaking of that, there is kind of like a throwaway line in there where she explains like why, like, because she encroached on its territory or its feeding ground. And so even though it got the other two, it's protecting its food. That's why it was doing the laps and stuff.
Oh, it's being like territorial.
Yeah. It's feeding ground. Yeah,
I get it. Okay, but I can buy that. I can buy into that.
I think the most unlikely part is the seagull with its fucking fractured wing.
Oh yeah, and she picks the seagull up and is like click and clicks.
Yeah. That was probably my silly part where I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
You got to keep the PETA folk happy. You've got a dead whale.
Right.
You're gonna kill the shark, so you got to save the seagull.
There you go. That's why they did it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in the crabs too, that she kills the crabs and tries to eat it and spits it out and stuff, which was, I like that she tries stuff and fails.
Yeah,
because I feel like in a lot of movies they try something and it's like, oh, it worked, and like she's like, I guess I'll try to eat a crab, and it doesn't work. And then there's a couple of times showing, like the first time she tries going out for the helmet with the GoPro on it. She doesn't get it the first time. She has to try it again. And I liked that aspect of it. And when she the first time that she just immediately takes off her wetsuit and wraps around her leg, I'm like, you're gonna freeze tonight. But I guess when you're in that situation, she was probably just thinking irrationally, and then she goes back and bites off the sleeve.
Yeah. I really enjoyed some of the shots too, where then there was the two guys when they were coming back the second time to kind of like
to check on her,
to check on her to see what was going on. You see the waves come up, and they disappear below it, and they go down, and then the waves come back up, and then it comes back down, and then the fucking shark gets them.
Yeah,
it's like the whole setup of them disappearing below the tide, and then just out of nowhere. Because at that point in the film, you're not sure how much of the shark you're gonna see. The first time, it's kind of like the camera switches, and you see a shot of Blake Lively reacting, and you're like, are we gonna conceal? Like, are we not gonna see it? Are we going to do like the Jaws thing where you don't see the shark until the final act? And then it's like immediately the next time is just full frame. Here comes this huge fucking shark up, and it's terrifying. And from that point on, you see it every single time.
Yeah. I think that's what I mean when it's just a good movie. Like everything about it, from even the writing, like I was thinking, because from a writer perspective, I was like, how the fuck do you write a film like this? It's the same thing that because so much of it is reaction and vision, and about the only stuff that you get is when she's talking to herself. So it's like, how do you put this into a page? And I just thought that was really interesting from that perspective. Like you said, from the camera's perspective, everything was just beautiful. It looked really nice, and it's completely opposite of a horror film, which was awesome. Bright, vibrant colors, and then the pacing of it. it was just so good.
It
Like
it just
it
yeah,
builds up.
I'm glad you brought up the pacing because I think it deserves a lot of credit for how tight the structure of the movie is because you never really hang in any one scene or moment too long. They
Yeah.
do a good job of like establishing a character or an environment or a situation, and then you stay there just long enough and then you move on to the next scene. It's like they do a really good job of just moving the story forward and giving you enough time to spend in this world without overstaying it because it had the potential to kind of like I remember one of the knocks of the movie Open Water was it was boring because it was just people they're just treading water.
Yep.
That's supposed to be the tension. That's the tension of that movie is
Something
that
just touched my leg.
yeah, of you're just stuck there. But this movie does a good job of like continually moving.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that.
Speaking a little bit about so she was going out there and surfing and stuff, and not being a surfer myself, this is something I wanted to know because in the film you see her use her surfboard leash as a tourniquet, and I just thought, I'm like, did they do that for the movie, or is this a thing? And so I did a little bit of research, and apparently, yeah, it's definitely a thing. And what's interesting to me is so it's from a company called Omna, OMNA Inc. And it looks like in 2015, so just a year before this, um, they actually launched on an Indiegogo campaign to create
Cool.
this surfboard leash, and it doubles as a tourniquet. So it's funny that a year before this film comes out, probably while this film was filming, this product was getting released, and they're like, we should use that. And this whole thing is like a one giant commercial for the product almost.
Well, I was gonna ask, Blake Lively has to be an actual surfer, right? She
That's a
has
good
to
question. I
because
think because a
for
lot
as
of those scenes, I think it'd be hard to double. I'm sure they doubled on some of them, but there
unless
was a
they're
lot of
doing
scenes that seemed like it was
um,
her.
unless they're doing the Jurassic Park face swap with the scene with the girl where she was uh the velocity she's in the air duct above her and
Oh,
the velociraptors are down below. That was a stunt double. That was her stunt double, and her stunt double accidentally looked up at the camera because she slipped a little bit. And so that was one of the first times in a movie where they took the stunt double's face out with CG and put the actress, the girl, they put her face over top of it. Cool little piece of trivia there for you.
yeah.
So they were able to save the shot. So I don't know if they would have done something like that in this movie. That seems like an awful lot of work for
So I've got the trivia pulled up. I'm kind of looking through
I would
if there's
imagine
anything. Here you go.
I would have
Oh shit. Blake. Oh, okay. Blake Lively only had a stunt double for the surfing scenes as she couldn't surf.
interesting.
All I did was paddle. Her surfing stunt double was professional Australian surfer Isabella Nichols. She taught Blake how to paddle correctly, how to wax a board and put a leg rope on and fin in to make it look authentic.
It's really
That's
convincing
damn
and
good.
it's
I,
really convincing because if you wouldn't have told me that, I would have assumed that was Blake Lively doing the majority of that herself.
yeah, that's good.
Wow, that's really well
Oh, well,
shot.
I wonder what this girl looks like though. I wonder if she's
She
pretty.
must I bet she looks just like Blake Lively.
Let's see. She does not have an IMDb page. Surprise, surprise. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, she does look a lot like her, so I'm sure that helped as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, a little CGI touch up here and there.
Like you said, with some of those shots being pulled back kind of
Yeah,
far
that's
away
true.
to kind of get the whole look at the ocean and the scenery and everything. It's probably easier to fake than what we think, but still give them a lot of credit because I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that completely got me. The dying whale was a mix of CGI and styrofoam.
I figured it had to be something half-assed buoyant because the shots of her floating on top of it had to be some kind of physical prop, so that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So another film that we've talked about, I don't know if it's on our YouTube channel still or not. But we talked about, or it was me, I talked about Buried, Ryan
Oh,
Reynolds and Buried. I talked about it with somebody,
do I?
and that's a fantastic film. And this is interesting because it says Blake Lively was inspired by her husband Ryan Reynolds' work in the minimalist film Buried, stating that was one of the reasons why I wanted to take on this movie so much, because I know how tough that was for him and how rewarding it was.
How funny. Okay, I shit you not, Jeff. I actually drew that comparison in my mind when I was watching this movie. I was like, this reminds me of Buried in just this, not the setup, but just the idea of here's an actor carrying essentially the entire movie by themselves. And Blake Lively, for the most part, carries this movie by herself. That's cool. I like that.
Very, yeah, very minimalist. Here's some more about her surfing. So for her surfing, some digital effects were used to take on the waves. The production company utilized face replacement techniques
Okay.
orchestrated by Lola Visual Effects.
They Jurassic Parked it.
They had to transfer a 3D version of her face that is tracked, reanimated, and replaces the stunt double's face.
Man, that is so much work. That's
It
cool.
is.
That's
Like,
cool though.
Blake, can't you just learn how to surf? We don't have time for all this or money. That's interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. I do.
You know what
wanna
I've always
mention-
you know what I've always wondered,
What?
and I'm not. Why couldn't you just hire that surfer?
I don't know. I think that's a. This is the why would you teach? Why wouldn't you teach astronauts to be drillers? Why would you teach drillers to be astronauts? Thing.
Yeah,
It's just because you don't do it.
I know, but like,
You hire drillers to drill. You hire astronauts to be astronauts.
but that's what's cool about
When you
like,
mix them,
Quentin-
you get Armageddon.
But that's what's cool about like Quentin Tarantino, like Zoe Bell
Zoe.
starting out as like a stunt woman, and him being like, "You're really good. I'm gonna make a movie with you in it, and you can do all your own stunts, and it's gonna be awesome."
But that,
Because-
I mean, she's in
because
the
you're-
industry already. That's a
Yeah, but like they
a
couldn't.
professional surfer isn't in the industry.
I know, but like they couldn't have found a stunt person. I know it's not that easy.
Oh,
but,
a stunt.
like
Well,
but
that
like
look
that-
like her too, though. I mean, a lot of similarities. I don't know.
would the movie have been as good? Like probably not. That's the thing, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think she killed it. I went as far as to say that Buried was Ryan Reynolds' best film acting. I would put it above Deadpool in terms of acting. I like Deadpool better, but Buried really showcases his talent. I think this really showcases her talent.
I need to rewatch Buried.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Something I did want to mention was I did not expect the ending of the film to go like that. I definitely expected something else, but she got to that buoy, and that whole buoy
Mhm.
scene I really enjoyed as well. There was a lot of
It was heartbreaking when she had the flare gun and there's the ship in the distance, and she goes to shoot it, and the first one fizzles out because it's old or wet or
Yeah.
whatever, and she gets the second one, and she's just hoping. You're
Yeah.
hoping for her that maybe they will turn around, and of course they don't.
yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
damn.
but that first shot though, where it just kind of goes, bloop, I'm like,
Poof.
oh god, because like we've all obviously not that situation, but we've all had shit like that where we're like,
We've all been stuck on a buoy
with a shark. But
and a
that's what
malfunctioning
that's-
flare gun.
I mean, that's what I mean though. I like that stuff doesn't work because every time the power goes out and I go to get a flashlight, do you think it works?
batteries are dead.
You're
Yeah.
goddamn right, it doesn't work. I love that nothing
I know it-
fucking works.
I know what you mean because that's my luck with that shit too. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
of course the flare gun wouldn't. Of course I would work this hard to get to this buoy, and then the flare gun wouldn't work. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Of course I would drop all the other shells into the water just immediately. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or even just stepping on that coral or whatever. I've been like, of course I stepped on the coral, even though I knew it was there. Of course I
She
did.
gets fucking
She
beat up
gets
in this movie
fucked
too.
up.
Yeah.
Fucked up. So right away she gets bit.
Oh,
She got that huge gash.
Mhm.
She gets steps on coral. Definitely dehydrated. Definitely some form of hypothermia going on. She gets fucking stung by the jellyfish. She gets fucking knocks herself in the head on the buoy against the metal
yeah.
bullshit. Gets thrown around all the time from there. Yeah. Fucked up.
How speaking of scenes that have no right to look as good as they do, the scene where she steps on, I think it's the coral, or maybe it's when she gets her leg cut open. I don't remember, but she's in the water and it just fills red, and it's
Yeah.
this really bright red, and it fills the whole frame. Like your whole frame turns this really bright red. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
A lot of
Like
great shots.
that looks really nice. You watch it and you go, this has no reason to look this good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
why are people this talented making a fucking shark attack movie?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so let's go there a little bit. Let's talk about the director. So the director, let's start off with kind of his first thing, which first he did a music video for Enrique Iglesias, which is, I think it's
Awesome.
funny. So House of Wax was his first
2005 House of Wax. That's a movie we need to podcast about.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I watched it recently. It's really good. That's one of those at the time everyone shit all over it because Paris Hilton and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, Chad
Sure.
Jekyll Shire.
Sure. Chad Michael Murray.
There you go. That guy.
There you go. Real quick on House of Wax. That's one of those movies that the internet has really came around to in recent years, where like everyone on horror movie / film Twitter is like, yeah, actually House of Wax 2005 is legit really good. So like I recommend going back and watching it. That'd be a fun
I'd have to
podcast.
rewatch it.
That'd be a fun podcast movie to do too. I watched it recently and yeah.
Still good?
It's really fucking good.
So he did Orphan. I like Orphan. Orphan's really good.
I've never actually seen that one.
That's a good one. And then he had a string of films with Liam Neeson. He did Unknown, Nonstop, Run All Night, The Commuter. He did a bunch of stuff. And then The Shallows is in there. And now this guy, he just did Jungle Cruise with The Rock and Emily Blunt, and he's doing Black Adam.
Getting himself some big budget movies now.
Big budget movies.
Big budget when you get Black Adam.
2 Rock films.
Yeah, back-to-back Rock movies too.
So first he does what 4 films? 4 films with Neeson. Now he's doing a bunch of movies with The Rock.
With The Rock?
I think he's doing pretty good.
I can see why you would pick him to helm like a Black Adam movie, because you look at The Shallows, wonderfully shot.
Yes, very colorful and vivid
and paced movie where you're like, man, yeah, I'll give this guy a big fucking budget superhero movie. Like, you'll do good work with it. I'm excited for Black Adam. I'm especially more excited for it because it's the director of The Shallows.
That's funny. I mean, look what James Wan did with Aquaman.
Oh, I love that movie.
There's a lot of people who started out with horror that are really blowing up.
Hey, have you heard of this director called Sam Raimi?
No, who's that? Please tell us. What did he start with?
He did a movie called Evil Dead.
And then he did what? Spider-Man?
Darkman? He did Darkman?
Oh, he did Darkman for... We should talk about Darkman. I forget about that movie.
We should definitely do Darkman. Darkman would be so much fun.
Fucking love that movie.
We're gonna do Darkman.
My hands! What did they do to my hands? Oh man,
that's fucking good. That's a good fucking.
There's a point in that film where Neeson just starts cackling, and he's like, it just gets me every time. I love that. That's a good. Yeah, we'll have to do that one sometime.
We've talked about more Liam Neeson during this podcast than I anticipated.
What do you expect?
Yeah,
I mean, he did. What did I say? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he did 4 films with Neeson.
Yeah.
Almost right in a row. And then The Shallows is kind of tucked in there.
What the hell is Nonstop?
The Neeson, he's on a train.
Oh, yeah, I never watched that one. I will admit that after Taken came out and he did this whole string of movies, action movies,
Yeah,
I kind of quit paying attention to him.
they blend together.
Yeah.
They
No, I mean,
blend
it's
together for
probably.
sure.
I guarantee you, Nonstop is a movie that if I sat down and watched it, I'd be like, "Oh, that's good. That's good. That's a good movie."
So speaking, okay, kind of jumping back and forth a little bit, but with shark films. So we talked about Deep Blue Sea. We mentioned Open Water. Have you watched 47 Meters Down?
Boy, I don't know if I've heard of that one.
I think it's pretty recent, 2017.
47
Mandy
Meters
Moore.
Down. No, I've actually never heard. I've never
Two
heard of
sisters
this one,
are
Jeff.
exploring the deep blue sea until something goes wrong as they submerge. See, this is one that I would have lumped together with the Shallows. Like, that looks like a stupid. The Reef. All of these just look like stupid sci-fi shark films, but now I bet I'd fucking like them.
This is cool. They look like they're stuck in a shark cage.
Yeah. Yeah, with they're running out of oxygen and shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's bound to be neat because you got that added we're running out of oxygen thing to it. How do they do dialogue in that movie?
The same way they did dialogue in this movie. They just don't. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But that reminds me, though, I really liked that about the Shallows, how they added. I mean, every time you want to up the ante, you add a time limit. And with the tide coming in and out, the tide went out. She had so many hours before it came back in, and then it started. That's why she had to get to the buoy because the tide was coming in, and
yeah, that's why I said the pacing in this movie,
yeah,
and them finding logical reasons to quickly move you on to the next scenario when
right. It didn't.
Any other movie, she would have just been stuck on an island for the whole fucking thing.
Right.
You're like, well,
I like how it finds a reason to move her along. It's not, oh, look, she made another stupid decision. No, why would you go in that room?
Yeah.
Which is, every time you're watching Jason or something, you're like, why would you go in there? With this, it's like, you need to get the fuck off that rock. So that was another good thing about the pacing as well, was that using the tide.
Hey, it was nominated for a Teen Choice Award.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it really was.
For Blake?
Blake Lively.
Or just like a horror movie.
Teen Choice Award for the Choice Summer Movie Star in the female category. Blake Lively was nominated.
I wonder if she won. She should have.
Yeah. I wonder who won. We should demand a recount.
Yeah, go back to 2016. We demand Blake Lively.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting to me. It's a Sony Pictures film. And this is just my quick little rant of like, because I do photography work, and so I always love movies with like good camera work, good, like I said, I love how this movie looks. It really pops on Blu-ray high definition. And so it's interesting to me that with this being Sony Pictures, it was probably filmed on Sony cameras, and this would have been right around the time that they were going for 4K. So even though I watched Blu-ray, like this feels like a movie that would like absolutely pop in 4K. So I do wonder a little bit, like I joked about how this would be a good demo reel for like in Walmart for like how good your TV set can use. I wonder a little bit if this was like Sony Pictures being like, hey, look how good our 4K cameras.
That's possible.
Because I keep coming back to this movie has no reason to look as good as what it does.
So, real quick, I had the trivia pulled up. I just kind of been looking through it. So, aside from the surfing, she does her own stunts. And in the scene near the end, when she swims up and smacks her face on the buoy and her nose starts bleeding, that's real. And it's real blood. However, she kept going on the scene.
Nice.
So that reaction was real. And then that's the
shark
name
got-
of the beach is never revealed.
The shark, I am assuming, had to be mostly CG.
Yes.
That would be my guess. Maybe a couple practical shots, but I would assume mostly CG.
Yeah, I think most of it was CG.
Yeah.
I can't, maybe the fin that you see above the water once in a while, that's probably practical, but
I was thinking the fin. The fin could probably be practical. Just
probably
the way it cuts through the water, like it kind of.
So because probably getting close to the end of this, before we get out of here, there is one thing that kind of felt like a loose end, where she's looking through the camera and she finds that he has like the shark has like a spear stuck in him, and she's like, somebody already got you.
Huh.
That was the first and last time anything was ever mentioned about that. So are we just like, is that for us to assume that this has been going on? Like,
I kind of, the way I read into that is, again, for the PETA folk, you're assuming this is an asshole shark to begin with, that like it's probably killed some other people. Hence, like, they don't want you to feel too bad for the fact that she murders the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right?
What's that got to do with the spear?
I think they're just setting up the fact that like the shark is.
Oh, that he's. Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's done this before. This is not the first time. Someone else has maybe been in a situation. Maybe it's attacked a boat. Like, I think that's where they were going with that. Just a little bit of world building instead of it being, oh, well, just the poor shark was feeding on this whale and you got into its area and it was just defending its own.
Right. I see.
Defending its own territory. I think they were trying to set it up for like, no, this shark is an asshole. It's been doing shit like this before. So it's okay. It's okay for you to root for the shark to get killed. That would be my guess. That would be my guess with it.
I thought that was just an interesting, like, it's obviously in the film for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's like, why? So, and
maybe
then
maybe this is actually Jaws 5.
This was a unexpected box office success. Film director said in an interview that he doesn't believe in sequels. He can only do original work. So they were already talking about following it up with a possible sequel, but he's like, nah.
We're gonna put him to that test with Black Adam 2.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, and Jungle Cruise 2.
Jungle Cruise.
We're gonna see how much money.
It's interesting. All right, so kind of any final thoughts or anything else that you wanted to point out about this film before we get out of here?
The only other teeny tiny little thing that I wanted to mention is there's a couple shots that I really liked where they showed what was on her cell phone, like they showed her texting or they showed her video calling, and it kind of brings it up over on the right hand side of the screen. It's a visual effect where you see her cell phone screen kind of tilted a little bit, and it fades out.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
It's kind of transparent a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's a really neat effect.
Good framing too.
Yeah, good framing. Other movies need to rip that off because everyone has cell phones. You're always communicating with people. That's a fun way to show how you're communicating and building that world. And a visually interesting way to do it on screen without just like, we're going to put the camera over your shoulder and just physically show.
I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too.
And it's always so hard to see what they're typing. Then you got to pause it because they go off of it too quick.
Right.
I hate that shit.
That's a cool visual way to show that.
That is cool. Yeah. Now that you bring it up, it was a good effect. Looked good.
And a little bit with the GoPro, where they showed a little bit of the GoPro footage. That was cool too.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping there might be a touch more. I was kind of hoping for more of that found footage. Because at the beginning of the film, I went into this cold. I definitely thought, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a found footage film.
Yeah.
I thought the kid was gonna find the GoPro and you were gonna watch it back through these series. I was like, oh, okay, I'm down for that. And then it kind of
To be fair,
tricked me.
that would have been. To be fair, that would have been cool too.
I would have watched it.
You and I both love found footage
Yeah.
movies, but
Speaking of that, another film. Oh, we just keep talking about films we want to talk about. I want to talk about Quarantine with Jay
yes,
Hernandez.
I do too.
It's been a minute since I've watched that, but anyway, so back to this for a minute. So yeah, that was a cool effect. I would just say that I definitely should have categorized this or just kind of assumed the shark film. I think I judged it too harshly before I watched it. And so I'm glad that I was forced to watch it because
it's fair.
It was damn good.
It's fair to think that any shark movie is just going to be absolute shit.
It's not just me.
Yeah, no, it's not just you.
Man.
I Googled really quick, just found footage shark movies. I found one called Cage Dive from 2016.
Oh no. Oh, the same year.
Yeah.
They're like, so what if it was found footage and it was a GoPro? That sounds awful.
It's probably terrible.
Sounds like something we would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I'm glad I watched it. If anybody's I mean, obviously if some people have watched it, that's probably why they're listening to this. But definitely, like, if you haven't watched it and you're just kind of listening to us talk about it, I definitely give it a watch because it deserves it.
It's actually Open Water 3 Cage Dive.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not shitting you.
Wow.
We just looped almost full circle with that one.
No shit. Talk about bringing it back. Open Water 3.
Open Water 3 Cage Dive.
And it's a found footage.
Found footage.
Interesting. All right. So unless you have anything else.
And it's on Tubi TV.
Oh no.
Of course it's on Tubi TV.
Oh no.
No, I think that'll do it.
Yeah, don't force me to watch that. I already took a chance on a one shark movie.
I'll watch it. It's terrible, but I'll watch it.
All right. So I think we already know what we're doing for episode 4. It's on HBO Max right now.
13 Ghosts.
Yeah, super excited. The remake, we should say. Super excited.
Yeah.
I love that film. That's one of them that I saw way too early in my life.
It's been a spell since I've seen 13 Ghosts, and I really don't remember much about it. I'm excited to go back and watch it for that reason.